I've been looking on the council website and looked at the planning application, and as was mentioned earlier on, there are a plethora of documents. One in particular I looked at was the flood risk assessment. My concern is that there is some misinformation in that flood risk assessment, and also there are, from other sources, there are some anomalies which I'd like to point out. In that flood risk assessment, the consultants say there is no record of flooding taking place on the airfield. I am a user of the airfield. I've been using it for nearly 40 years. I am a flyer. On the eastern side and that northeastern side of the airfield, it regularly floods. It has been flooding to a depth of 4 feet. Also, when the survey work was taking place earlier on this year, I was speaking to one of the contractors who was involved in the survey work, who told me that the floodplain, the water table, is actually 2 meters down. The airfield regularly floods in the winter time. The water can't soak away. It's very boggy. I haven't walked that particular area where the proposed building is going to be, but I know that the field next door to it floods and is boggy. And I know that the field that is by the corner where the roundabout is also floods. So there's a serious issue there of flooding on the airfield. But the consultants who carried out the survey, which is on your council website, are saying there is no record. Don't know where they were looking, but certainly people who use the airfield will be able to tell them the facts that the airfield in that east and northeast, particularly, it might affect the access road, because there is an underground stream that runs under the airfield that not many people know about, which feeds into the Alva River. And there's also been a lot of extensive work taking place by what is the eastern gate, which is used by the contractors at the moment, to try and rectify the flooding issues that have taken place on the airfield over the last few years. So it is a serious problem. Flooding on the airfield is serious. Not brought up in that particular consultant report. There are other issues. I don't know whether anybody wants to comment on that, but that's the first point I'd like to make.
Okay, well, those are useful comments, and I hope that you'll make them to the planning officers as comment on the planning application. Obviously, the concern will be that electrical components and water probably don't mix terribly well, so it should be an issue for National Grid as well.
Yes, well, one would expect that, with the consultants and the various, people who've been involved in all this process, that somebody might have discovered this, and rather than waiting for a poor member of the public to come along and point out that there is flooding taking place in that particular area.